Hey guys, welcome to the YouTube channel. Today I want to talk about my physical media journey. Now, a lot of you who follow the channel know that I am constantly doing stuff with my collection. At the moment, my new thing seems to be putting them into plastic sleeves. So, these little things. I'm doing the same thing that Serial at Midnight did. A lot of other YouTubers have done it, but essentially trying to reduce the size to something that looks like that. From, say, I don't know, we'll grab 2-pack here. From like that, an actual cover. So that's what I've been doing recently. But I just want to talk about all the stuff that got me to this part. Like, obviously, I am a fan of physical media. I have been collecting it for many, many decades at this point. See, the thing with physical media for me is it's about ownership. It's about having a true piece on your shelf or wherever you choose to house it, saying you own this. Now, obviously, this is a version that I've replaced with 4K, so why do I keep the DVDs? Well, it also comes down to versions as well. Now, with versions, you can choose to watch the DVD. This might even be something that's built for a CRT, so standard definition. I could choose to watch the 4K, which will look great on my LG OLED. But throughout the years, I have made many mistakes with my collection. I've also made a lot of good stuff with my collection. So at the moment, I've been ripping a lot of my Blu-rays and DVDs, trying to do a backup copy, a preservation copy, if you will. Now, that is educational purposes. I have to say that because, technically they talk about this DRM, which is kind of outdated anyways. I mean, DRM even applies to CDs. So if you even ripped a CD with iTunes back in the day, then really, we've all done it. So I'm backing up this, and I know people are saying, put it on a Plex server, put it on whatever, put it on Jellyfin or whatever it is. Is it Jellyfin? I think Jellyfin's what it's called. But either way, my thing with physical media is that I'd like to have the disc. It's why I'm putting stuff into sleeves, even though if I rip it, I still want to have the physical disc there. I want the cover, I want the experience. And that's what we lost in the digital age. My collection and my journey with physical media has always led me to ownership and wanting to own stuff I like. If I like, let's say, the World Poker Tour from back in the day, great TV show, little acey-deucey events, Mark Sexton and Vince Van Patten. I think Mark Sexton passed away a couple of years ago, but great commentators on this show. Also, Daniel Negreanu, first time I ever watched Daniel Negreanu play, and, a lot of players on this that have went on to become household names, But that's little things, like, if I wanted to watch the first season of the World Poker Tour, that's not always available on streaming, and this is why I keep coming back to it. A show like The Footy Show from back in the day, let's grab 2002, 94 to 2002. A show like The Footy Show might not be available readily online. Now, this is probably locked away in the Channel 9 vault, although you have these social medias that take clips and put them up as vaulted stuff, like WWE's been doing it a lot. But as I said, true ownership. You can go back and visit your favorite moments. You can go back and essentially you own a copy of it. So you don't have to rely on a streaming service. And this is the thing. What if the internet ever goes down? So I know this is becoming a bit of a rant, but everything I've ever done has always led me back to physical media. I've went digital in 2016 to about 2018 or 2019 or something. And when they started taking my movies off me, they were actively taking movies off me. Now, Spider-Man 2 is back in my collection, but they made it a HD copy even though everything was upgraded to 4K. When I bought the Equalizer, they took that off me, or Equalizer 2, I think. And then I think they gave me a refund or something, but it was weird, like iTunes I'm talking about. So that always led me back. But by then I had already made a massive mistake, I had put all my discs, taken them out of the covers and put them in the binders, but this is just how they sit now. These are the copies that I've retired, These are the copies that, there's basketball. I'm sure I still have this somewhere on Blu-ray, but these discs here are from my original collection from like 2006, maybe 2007. So there's a lot of boxes of these down the bottom that I've essentially retired the discs because they're too broken. They're just kind of there as a showpiece now until I can figure out what I want to do with them later on. Maybe put them in a resin frame or something and then make some display piece. But until then, I don't know what to do with them. And I'm going to keep them there as I don't want to throw them away. They're just something that I want to showcase when I'm talking about my physical media collection. But you know why I keep coming back to it, right? It's because I just love it. And you know, there's something about the charm of grabbing a cover of your shelf. Let's just have a look through here. Like, let's say I wanted to watch, I mean, I've already talked about the World Poker Tour. Let's say I wanted to watch Aliens of the Deep. I think that's a Disney movie that James Cameron made. Was it Disney? Yeah, Walt Disney. But that might not be available on streaming. I'm sure it will be available on streaming. But you know, to hold it in your hand and to hold a copy that there's my video shop right there. I've got the disc from my actual video shop because I would have thrown out the covers years ago. And when I rebought this one, I took the disc from those boxes I just showed you and put it back in because I was like, no, that's got the original Video Easy Marek Fuel on it. Like, that is pretty cool. It's a disc from the video shop that I would have rented many times over the years back in the day. So those little things are what connect you. And just on that, let's talk about the video shops. So when we talk about video shops, right, when we talk about rentals, there was something charming about going into a shop and spending hours in there saying, I need to choose 5 movies that I want to watch for the next week. You know, or 7 for 10, you'd pay $7 for 10 of them for a weeklies. You might get a new release and 3 weeklies, or, you know, there was many ways that they'll do releases, you know, there was many ways they'll do it. And there was something charming about it. There was something like, okay, you are not overwhelmed by choice on a wheel of here's Netflix, here's what Netflix wants you to watch. It's essentially, and yes, you have the option to choose whatever you want on the digital age, let me say that. But there's something charming of saying, you know what? If you don't want to watch one of these 5 movies, you have nothing else to watch. That's what you're going to watch. You're going to choose one of those movies. There's something charming about it. And when you go into a video shop, it was like, okay, I need to choose what I want to watch. These days, we're so overwhelmed by choice. We're so overwhelmed by saying, we have everything. We have it at our fingertips even. You could be 20 minutes into a movie and say, I don't like this. Click off, click on, and within 2 seconds, you're on a completely different movie or TV show. With DVDs and Blu-rays, you kind of have to go and get them out of the player. You have to do the whole experience. Now, it is doable, but I try to treat my collection like a reference library, you know? It's like, come in, rent it like you would, like Spy Kids. I don't even know if that's on any digital services. Who owns this one? This is Roadshow, but who actually made it? That is a hard one. Anyone know who owns Spy Kids? I don't know. Oh, it's Roadshow, but who actually put the money into it? I'm sure Miramax. It's a Miramax movie. So where does Spy Kids house these days? Is it on Netflix? It's something from back in the day that I'll probably be nostalgic for. Yeah, you know, there's a lot of stuff in the collection that when I talk about my physical media journey, everything leads me back to the physical form of it because you don't truly have ownership in the digital age. And while, yes, I am ripping stuff so I can put them on hard drives and try to build on NAS at some point so I can show you that, although I don't know if I want to do a NAS, I might just have independent hard drives, so if one fails, I mean, yeah, you can recover it or whatever, I don't know, but I'm still figuring out what I want to do, but having them ripped is the first step. But when I look at my collection and when I really take into account, I have The Simpsons behind the camera. I have the entire of The Simpsons up to about season 20. I think I'm only missing season 19 because that's like $100, $200 release. I have just about every release. I have every season of South Park on DVD, like the original ones, the original release ones. So it's 4:3. It's the original animation. It's not the remastered Blu-rays, although I do have the original. I do have the remastered Blu-rays as well. So do you understand what I'm saying? Like, something about like the options. Like, I could choose to watch South Park in 4:3, the original animation, or I could watch the Blu-rays. Like, there are 2 options there. There are options if I want to watch Terminator 2 that I've showed many times on 4K, or if I want to watch that on Blu-ray where it's not altered, it hasn't had that restoration that I don't like from James Cameron. I can choose to watch the many versions of Avatar that are only available on Blu-ray, or I can choose the 4K, which only has Avatar, I'm talking about the original Avatar, that only has that theatrical version. So, you know, Titanic as well, like I could choose to rip my 3D version, which has the open aspect ratio, open matte, I believe it is, or I could choose to watch it on 4K, which is going to look a lot more crisp, has that DNR as well, but, you know, there's options. This is a reason why I keep coming back to physical media as well, because it allows you the options to choose what you want. It's a catered experience. Now, digital are trying to do that, but they are nowhere close to it. I found a video on, and this isn't to do with physical media, I found a video on Daily Mail that someone recorded on the video cam from WrestleMania Revenge 2005 in Sydney. And it is the main event. It's Triple H and Ric Flair versus Benoit and Batista. I watched that match for the first time in 20 years the other night, and I was like, someone recorded this and put it on Daily Mail. I need to figure out how I can download that. I know it's easy, but I need to figure out how I want to. But to see that, this is something that would have been sitting on someone's hard drive for years and years. Now it's out there on the internet. I got to figure out how I can download it because I want to have a copy of it. But re-experiencing that, would that have been ripped to a hard drive back in the day or a USB? I don't know. But, it's something like this. Like, let's say, what's something here? Let's say you want to experience, I mean, I'm not a big fan. I'm probably not going to watch this. I mean, this is just something that's in my collection because I saw it and I was like, this is pretty cool to have in my collection. But the In Memoriam for 9/11, I don't know if that's going to be anywhere on streaming. That might be on National Geographic or something, but HBO, it's HBO, so it might be on Max. But you know what I'm saying? Like, some of these might not even make it to a streaming service or a streaming option like YouTube or Daily Motion or whatever it is, or Daily Mail, whatever it's called. I don't know. It's one of these services. The original Inglorious, the one that inspired Tarantino. That is physical media. I don't know if that's on any streaming service. And when you start looking at this, like, I haven't watched these ones, Once Upon a Time in China, but when you get to foreign, like, foreign is another big part that plays in the physical media space as well. It's why I have such a big Australian section. It's why I have such a big foreign section, because those are the ones that don't get picked up as often by the Netflix or the Amazons or the Disney Pluses, because, they've primarily focused on America, English-speaking countries. So, yeah, it's kind of a weird one. I know I've kind of ranted and been a bit vague in this video about my physical media journey, but I just thought it'd be good to come on here and reflect and kind of just connect to the fan base. Like, tell me about what got you into physical media. Well, for me, it was the video shops. And when they took the video shops away from me, even before they took the video shops away from me, I did have a sizable collection back then of wrestling and also just my favorites like The Dark Knight and so on. But over the years, I've torn things down, I've put things back up, I've went and recollected, I've put stuff into boxes now, into sleeves. So it's always evolving. My physical media collection is always evolving. But the other day I put to you a question. I said, with a movie like old M. Night Shyamalan, what would you do in that situation of, it's a movie I'm probably never going to rewatch. It's something that I may rewatch. I might very well rewatch it. But it's something I'm not too passionate about. It's something I didn't like. Now, given I was also for the longest time not the biggest fan of Tarantino movies, I still have not watched Kill Bill since the 90s or whenever it first came out, the 2000s. I have not watched back Kill Bill, although for the longest time I watched Kill Bill and then I never watched a Tarantino film. A couple of years ago I went back and said, you know what, keep Kill Bill aside. I don't like that one. I didn't like it when I was younger, so set that aside. I will rewatch it at some point. I've got it on, I believe, 4K up there somewhere, so I am going to experience it at some point, re-experience it, give it another chance. But I went back and re-experienced Tarantino. Pulp Fiction was always one of my, like, up there. I always considered that was one of Tarantino's best. I also gave Jackie Brown a chance. Jackie Brown's a good movie. And, you make your way through all these movies and then you come back to that thing of, I don't know if I'm going to rewatch stuff. So you kind of have to go through and say, okay, with a movie like Old, am I going to rewatch it? With a different lens, I might refine something that, I might find a different passion for that movie in 2, 3, 5 years, But also it's taking up room on a shelf that could be used for something else. So when you really look at it, with Old, I probably will keep it. I probably will fold it down. That's probably the place I will go. Although I don't know about getting rid of that cover because those 4K covers I feel are going to be pretty scarce at some point because they're starting to, they're ramping up production with 4Ks, but I don't know if the plastic is going to be as appealing. But when I really take into consideration what I'm going to do with that one, I don't know. And this is the thing. I love being on here and having the fan base around me because you guys have some really good advice. There's also been a lot of people I've had to block as well. So, some people come on the channel and say, this video is going to age like milk, ha ha ha. Someone put that on the Superman video that I did about why Warner Brothers should shelve the DC universe. And I had to block that person because they obviously didn't watch the video and was like, oh, this is going to age like milk. Don't you know Superman's breaking all the stats? And it's like, yeah, Aquaman blew out $1 million or $1 billion at the box office in that first movie. Didn't mean the universe survived because people were fatigued. People didn't like it. People were not gravitating towards it. And yes, it can have one or two successful movies. Don't forget that Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman did very well as well. But that universe is gone now, you know, because people didn't gravitate towards it. People were just bored of it. The MCU is the same circumstance. Yes, I'm sure Doomsday will do great. But, you know, this is all it's all subjective. And while I'm kind of like a loss for words somewhat of like, I love my physical media collection and it has evolved so many times over the years. But as I sit here right now, I know the next evolution is to come, you know, putting it into a NAS or putting it into boxes, into sleeves that save it's 1/6 of the space, you know. So that's what I'm looking at, and that's why I'm constantly like, okay, I like my physical media collection. It's why I'm not throwing out Dragon Ball Z. I've still got the boxes here for Dragon Ball Z, but I needed to get it off the shelf that was back here because it was just taking up so much space that it was like, okay, then I might sell the Japanese Dragon box, I might sell the orange bricks because they don't have value to me. The single individual releases, the Dragon box, the US Dragon boxes, they might hold some value to me. So now it's more about curating my collection and making sure that I have a reflection of what I like. And yep, I'm sure I have other stuff that I'm forgetting to put in there. Stuff like comedy specials as well, like also Carl Barron, one of my favorite comedians. You know, I like Carl Barron, and that's something that might not be on a streaming service. I'm sure it'll be on Stan or something in Australia, but you're not always going to get stuff like, I mean, Delirious might be out there on something, but, you know, comedy specials are another thing that might not be on a streaming service. So what I'm trying to highlight here is why I choose physical media and why I think it's important. And while I know a lot of people won't understand that, it's kind of the whole point. It's kind of the point of why I believe the freedom of physical media is worth it. And that's where I want to end the video, guys. Hope you took something away from this. It is a 17-minute video, and I know it's kind of a rant at some points, but let me know what you think. Did you take away anything from this video? What would you do with a collection like this? Are you curating yours? Are you kind of figuring it out? I'm reading the comments, so yep. 300 Spartans. I've never watched 300 Spartans. I've watched 300, but this is the original. See, this is the thing. People don't know that stuff is remakes. I've got Scarface back there, the 1930s version. So yeah, you know, that's a selection and that's curation as well. That's something that I've been like, yep, need to have that. That's something that I like. The original Scarface is nothing to laugh at. Like, yes, people think that the 1980s version, the Tony Montana one, is the original. Nah, it dates back even further. And, you know, I think, forget his name, what's his name? Something Mooney or something? Paul Mooney or something? I don't know. I don't know the original one. Can I find it? 1 second. Let's have a look. That's what we will end on. I can see Scarface there. What's the original guy? Is it Paul Mooney? Yeah, Paul Mooney. The original Scarface. This is a pretty good movie, and the 1980s version took a lot from this. So, you know, stuff like that is important to have in my collection. And then I also curate, but also, you know, at certain points I bought too much, and some of it is just bloat. So you start trying to trim the fat, and you try to keep it in line with what you like. And yeah, that's where I'm going to end it, guys. Let me know what you think. I will get back to you. I'll read the comments. I'll do something. Let me know what you think, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.